You've probably looked at your business at some point and thought, I'm doing loads, so why does this still feel slow? You're posting, you've tweaked your website, maybe you've redesigned your logo, maybe you've run some ads, and yet there's still this feeling that something isn't quite clicking. So the real question isn't, am I working hard enough? It's, does what I'm doing actually count as marketing? If that question has ever made you feel slightly unsure, good, because it means you care. And once you see this clearly, you stop second guessing yourself. You start building deliberately. By the end of this video, you'll understand what actually counts as marketing. Not in a textbook way, but in a practical way. In a way that lets you look at your own business and say, that's doing a job and that isn't. And that clarity gives you control back. Hey, I'm Stephen, and on this channel, I break down marketing in a way that actually makes sense, without hype, without pretending it's more complicated than it needs to be. Now, before we go any further, let me say this clearly. If you feel behind when it comes to your marketing, you're not. You're just trying to build something without being shown how the pieces actually fit together. And that's frustrating. And this video is about fixing that. Marketing has become one of those words that means everything and nothing at the same time. Posting is marketing, branding is marketing, ads are marketing, your website is marketing, networking is marketing. So when something doesn't work, you don't know what to question. And that's where it gets draining, because if everything is marketing, then every quiet week feels very personal. But most of the time, it isn't failure, it's misalignment. And misalignment is fixable. Here's the shift that changes everything. Marketing isn't the task, it's the effect. Think about a small independent coffee shop on your local high street. Not a chain, not a franchise, just someone who decided to open something of their own. In the early days, it probably tried a bit of everything. Maybe the menu was bigger than it needed to be. Maybe it copied trends. Maybe it tried to be cozy and modern and premium and affordable all at once. And that's normal. Most small businesses start there because you experiment, you test, and you adjust. Maybe they even posted constantly for a while. Seasonal drinks, discounts, giveaways, trying to create attention. But at some point, someone likely made a quiet decision. They stopped asking, what else can we add? And started asking, what are we actually about? Maybe they simplified the menu. Maybe they removed items. Maybe they chose a tone and stuck with it. Maybe they made peace with not being for everyone. That's a marketing decision. Not because it's promotional, because it reduces doubt. Now imagine walking past that coffee shop today. You look through the window and you think, that looks like my kind of place. You don't analyze it, you recognize yourself in it. That recognition didn't come from a discount, it came from alignment, the layout, the pricing, the music, the tone. Everything points in the same direction. Now, fast forward 6 months. They're not necessarily louder, but something subtle has happened. Regulars have formed. People describe it in similar language. It's the quiet place, it's good for working, it's simple. When customers start describing your business consistently, your marketing is working. Because now people understand it the same way. That's when growth becomes easier and not explosive, but stable. And stable, well, it compounds. Everything that they are doing is marketing. The logo is marketing. The space design is marketing. The pricing is marketing. The posts are marketing. But the difference isn't whether those things count, it's what job they're doing. A logo's job is recognition. A website's job is clarity. An advert's job is amplification. And a post's job is reinforcement. Problems start when we expect amplification to create clarity. Ads amplify what already exists. If that's confusion, they amplify confusion. If that's clarity, they amplify clarity. That's empowering because clarity is within your control. Let me give you something that feels very real. Imagine you run a small independent gym, just you and a team. You care about what you've built. You post regularly, you celebrate client wins, you share workouts. You run ads saying, join today. Some months feel strong, and then you hit a quiet patch. And the quiet patch messes with your head. So you do what most people do when things dip, and you look sideways. You look at other gyms, they're loud, high energy, transformation photos everywhere. So you tweak your tone, you adjust your ads, you mirror the format. You get leads, but something feels off. The inquiries aren't quite right. They want cheap, they want hardcore, they want something you don't actually offer. Now marketing feels frustrating because you're active but you're not aligned. Now imagine you step back and ask a different question. Not what should we post, but who are we actually for? And you answer honestly. Maybe you realize you're not a hardcore performance gym. You're not a cheap mass membership gym. You're a supportive space for people who feel out of place in big fitness chains. Now you change one sentence, just one. A supportive gym for people who feel intimidated elsewhere. And something interesting happens. Your posts don't change dramatically, but they land differently. Your testimonials suddenly make sense. Your ads stop attracting the wrong people. The same activity is now doing a different job because it's anchored. And that's marketing working. Not because you added more, but because you clarified. Now, when I worked in a financial services startup, we didn't have brand recognition. We were competing with established names people have trusted for years. So we couldn't rely on familiarity. We had to rely on understanding. And I remember sitting in a meeting where we were going through messaging for the website. It sounded professional, structured, impressive, but someone asked, if I'm a business owner landing here for the first time, why would I choose us instead of the established names I already recognize? And there was a pause because everything described what we did, but it didn't clearly explain why we were different for someone specific. We were accurate, we weren't clear. And that's when it clicked for me. You can be active, you can be visible, you can be technically correct and still not make choosing obvious. Once we sharpened the explanation, once we could say clearly who we were for and why, everything else became easier. Sales conversations, ads, website engagement. Nothing dramatic changed in volume. The clarity changed, and clarity changed performance. If this is starting to make sense to you, I'm curious. What have you been expecting marketing to do for your business? Drop it in the comments whether you expected it to create clarity or amplify something that wasn't clear yet. Here's one thing I want you to do today. Open your website or your Instagram bio or the first sentence of your homepage and read it like a stranger. Ask yourself, if I didn't already know this business, would I understand what it actually is? Would I know who it's for? Would I know why I should care? And if the answer is sort of, then that's your leverage point. Not more posts, not more ads, just a clearer explanation. And that one shift makes everything else work harder. And here's the part most people never see. Clarity doesn't create fireworks, it creates consistency. Imagine that gym 6 months later. The inquiries feel aligned, the members refer friends, the tone feels confident. The owner isn't panicking every quiet week because they know who they are. When alignment compounds, everything compounds. Every post, every ad, every conversation. Marketing stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like momentum. So hear this, you don't need to start again. Everything you've been doing can count as marketing. But now you understand what job each piece is supposed to do. Marketing's job is simple. Reduce doubt before someone is ready to buy. If what you're doing reduces doubt, it's working. If it doesn't, refine the foundation. Not louder, clearer. That's empowerment. Now, if this video has helped you see your marketing differently, then please consider giving it a like or subscribing to the channel. I post new videos every Monday and Thursday, so take care and I'll see you in the next one.